Hey everyone, hope you guys are having a great day. Welcome back to where true crime hits different. Mod Squad, I see you guys holding it down in the chat as always on both sides, on YouTube and on TikTok. Shout out to my early crew already flooding the comments. And listen, today's episode, we are going to unpack some of the most explosive developments in the Diddy saga yet. And I'm just going to go ahead and give you this teaser. One of the stories that we're going to be talking about today, y'all, is probably the most bizarre one I have heard yet. So for my ones who have been following this story since day one, buckle up. If you're new here, smash that follow button right now. If you're on TikTok or if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, because what just dropped in Courtroom hours ago is about to flip this entire investigation on its head. We've been combing through all the documents that have been going on, and everything is changing. Things are getting huge. Things are getting out of control. And TikTok family, let's get those likes climbing. I'd love to see us get to, we're at 20 right now, which I appreciate y'all getting me to. Let's see if we can get that up to 30,000 before I finish this intro. That would be absolutely amazing. Helps get that out to the For You page for people. And YouTube crew, your theories in the comments have always been great. Wait until you see how deep this rabbit hole goes, everyone. From high-powered attorneys filing midnight motions to explosive allegations about $500,000 parties to disturbing social media manipulation campaigns. We're going to be connecting a lot of dots today. And quick heads up for my TikTok fam, if you want to hop over to YouTube for our full experience where you get to see pictures and everything, you're welcome to do that. If not, feel free to sit there and just enjoy it. And for YouTube family, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification, because you are not going to want to miss any of this. But before we unpack these absolutely mind-blowing revelations about what's really happening behind the scenes of this investigation, let me tell you guys what's up, and let me talk about what's helping to keep us doing these stories. And for you guys on TikTok, I'm actually going to drop a quick link for y'all, and I'm hopefully going to remember to take it down when I'm done. So I just pinned a link, guys, and let's get real about the holidays for a minute, okay? And real quick, let me put these up for y'all here. There we go. Let me get real about the holidays real quick. And like I said, I dropped the link right now on TikTok for those who want to order. But you know that moment when the holiday music just starts playing, and instead of joy, you kind of feel that familiar tightness in your chest, those upcoming gatherings where every empty chair feels like a story and every why don't you just ... feels like a tiny paper cut. Yeah, I've been there, and I am there, as a matter of fact. And that's exactly why I wrote the book Boundaries, which is right here for you guys looking at it. All right. Now, here's the raw truth, guys. We're part of a silent revolution. Over 25% of millennials and Gen Z are doing something our parents never could. We're choosing peace over tradition, healing over history. And we're having these difficult conversations, these hard conversations with our kids, because we refuse to pass down the weight that we all carried. But here's where it gets beautiful. We're not just setting boundaries. We're building legacies. We're teaching our children that love doesn't come wrapped in anxiety. No can be the most loving word in our vocabulary, and their family story is whole, complete, and beautiful exactly how it is. This isn't another parenting book, y'all, gathering dust on your shelf. This is a late-night conversation I wish someone would have had with me when I was staring at my ceiling, wondering why family felt so complicated. It's your permission slip to celebrate your family perfectly as they are. Now, because here's what I know for sure. Our kids do deserve to inherit our wisdom, not our wounds. So if you're ready to transform those holiday conversations from dread to empowerment, grab your copy through the link in my bio or through the TikTok shop right there. It's time to write a new chapter in your family's story. Now, the other book, because I cover true crime, y'all, this is one that everyone has. And you know what? I am out of them in this room, so I can't even pull one up to show you. I have to go get another stack of them. But I wrote a book called Surprises Are Okay, Secrets Are Not. And I wrote it because after years of covering true crime, I learned something that keeps me up at night, which is that the most precious gift we can give our children isn't wrapped in shiny paper. It's arming them with the power to protect themselves, which is exactly why I wrote Surprises Are Okay, Secrets Are Not, which is pinned right there, or should be pinned right there. Through the adventures of three friends, this book does what I wish every parent could do. It shows kids the critical difference between fun surprises like birthday parties or those holiday presents and dangerous secrets. It builds confidence without creating fear, gives them practical tools they'll actually remember, makes one thing crystal clear, which is that their voice matters always. Now, here's the truth bomb that nobody wants to talk about, but the biggest threat rarely comes from strangers in dark alleys. They come from people who use secrets as weapons, people who've earned trust just to abuse it. But we can flip this script because every single child deserves to know that they have the power to speak up. They have the power to use their voice. And while, yes, we should have had these conversations yesterday, the next best time is right now. Now, I do have hardcover editions back in stock. Free shipping on all hardcovers and all bundles. So what are you waiting for? Make sure to order them. And the other thing that I will tell you, and actually I've got a notification right now that somebody's at my front porch. The brand new book, which is called The Lost Balloon, which is a book about secrets and that with, not secrets, which is a book about sharing with some undertones about cultural acceptance. I have the first copies that were just dropped off at my door. They'll be ready to order hopefully this evening. But you can get them through the TikTok shop through that link right there or through JustInTheNickOfCrime.com. Now, with that being said, somebody asked a quick question, which is, when should I expect a delivery of the one book? Well, if you ordered a book, all the books went out today. If you ordered in the last few days, as long as I'm in town, if you order a book, they will go out same day or the next day, and all copies that you order from me come signed. Anyways, that's what's going on. Now, the last thing I'll show you guys real quick, and I don't know if I can show y'all on TikTok. Let me see if I can real quick. I'm able to do this. I might not be able to. I can't. Yeah, so a lot of y'all have been asking if I am on BlueSky, and I am on BlueSky. I created an account the other day. All right. So if you guys want to follow me on BlueSky, that is what it looks like. It is just, if you notice, the ad is Justin Nick of Crime because I couldn't add the word the. It made it too long, so I chose to get rid of that word. But if you want to follow me there, feel free to do so, and that's what we got. Now, without further ado, though, let's get into this show because, guys, I'm not kidding when I tell you we have a lot, and I mean a lot, of updates to talk about today. So first thing, I did a video on this, but it was the other day. I was out of town, so we haven't done a show in a while. But there was a raid on Friday, and this raid is very significant. This raid that they did is a game changer, in my opinion, when it comes to all of this stuff. All right. So basically what happened was on Friday, the feds or the authorities made a sweep of Diddy's jail cell and took some information. Now, this all comes in light of the fact that he had gotten in trouble or been accused of getting phone minutes from other inmates by paying them via payment apps or by filling their commissary, utilizing his time on the phone to basically try to circumvent the rules, to talk to people he's not supposed to be talking to, people who aren't on his approved contact list, to talk to people, to bring in three-way phone calls. And we're going to talk more about what those are here in a little bit. But basically, that's what was going on. Then shortly after, they did a sweep and they took information. And attorneys for Diddy are accusing prosecutors of leveraging private writings seized from his jail cell to keep him behind bars until May. Because remember, there's another bail hearing because he gets as many bail hearings apparently as he wants. And they're saying that this was an illegal search and seizure, that the documents that they took were things that were confidential between the attorneys and Diddy. And that's kind of what's going on. And so his attorney, his head attorney, Mark Agnifilo, is accusing the feds of quote unquote outrageous government conduct. And he filed that in courts. He also filed for an emergency hearing. And basically they're alleging that authorities previously raided his jail cell and confiscated documents that were legally privileged and should not have fallen into the hands of the prosecutors. And that's according to the documents that were filed. Then, according to Agnifilo, they used those documents to ensure that Diddy would not be granted bond. And I'm pretty sure, though, the reason Diddy's not being granted bond is probably because of all the other things that we just spoke about. But again, we're going to come back into some of this stuff a little bit later. All right. Let's talk about Tony Buzbee, because if you have not heard this, y'all, this is massive. For those of y'all who don't know, Tony Buzbee is the guy who is representing. I'm going to try to move you guys, my TikTok family here, so y'all can maybe see me a little better. There we go. He is the one who has 120 clients that is going after Diddy. Well, an explosive legal battle has erupted in LA where Tony Buzbee, who is that attorney representing 120 victims, now finds himself on the defensive. An anonymous John Doe plaintiff, described as a prominent figure who attended events with Diddy, filed a bombshell lawsuit against Buzbee of orchestrating a sophisticated extortion scheme. The lawsuit was filed in LA County Superior Court, and it alleges that Tony Buzbee has threatened to unleash what John Doe calls entirely fabricated and malicious allegations of SA, including claims of rugging and R-ing both male and female minors at Diddy-hosted parties. Now, according to these documents, Buzbee put a ticking clock on these demands, pressuring for mediation to resolve what he termed a delicate and important matter. Now, Quinn Emanuel, who's one of the world's most powerful law firms with over 1,000 attorneys globally, is backing these explosive claims. That's who helped file it. They argue that with Diddy facing his own legal tsunami and payment becoming unlikely, Buzbee devised a scheme to extract money from anyone with ties to Diddy, no matter how remote. The lawsuit specifically calls out Buzbee's past cases, including those against NFL star Deshaun Watson and Packers kicker Brandon McManus, suggesting a pattern of what they call dubious claims. Buzbee's response has been fierce and unequivocal, dismissing the lawsuit as laughable. He's also a former U.S. Marine, by the way, Buzbee is, and he insists that this is nothing more than an attempt by powerful interests to silence SA survivors. He maintains his demand letters were standard legal practice, seeking mediation, contained no specific monetary demands, and made no threats. And in a bold move, he's announced plans to publicly release these demand letters when filing suit against Diddy. The timing is particularly significant, though, because this comes just after Buzbee has been expanding his legal offensive, representing accusers ranging from adults to minors as young as 9 years old at the time of their alleged abuse. He recently appeared on TMZ's documentary, The Downfall of Diddy Inside the Freak-Offs, where he defended his aggressive legal strategy as simply working within the system. Quinn Emanuel has now taken the extraordinary step of establishing a tip line, urging anyone with information about Buzbee to come forward. The lawsuit alleges intentional infliction of emotional distress and extortion, with this John Doe claiming he faces a quote-unquote gun to his head, either pay repeatedly or stop false allegations, or face personal and financial ruin. This isn't just another celebrity legal skirmish, y'all. This is a case that could fundamentally reshape how high-profile SA allegations are handled in the American legal system. It raises critical questions about balance between protecting alleged victims and preventing potential legal exploitation. With both sides armed for battle, neither of them are showing signs of backing down. This is going to be a watershed moment. We're going to be following it very closely as well. It is massive, y'all. Massive. Now, here's the next thing I want to talk about, because I'm getting kind of beat up a little bit on this one. I made a video earlier today, and I kind of want to talk about this, which is about these influencers that are allegedly getting visits from Diddy. And I made a video earlier today saying that I don't necessarily believe the stories, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. And then I'm going to tell you, I'm going to play devil's advocate to myself here for a second and tell you what I've offered. Okay. Cause I've had a few people jump down my throat over this. Now, I have covered a lot of true crime cases, some very big cases, that where we see what goes on is that people will jump on a bandwagon or jump on a viral video because we get paid as influencers or as digital journalists, whatever you want to call it, content creators, whatever you want to call us. We get paid on viral views, right? That's how we make money, unless you want to be generous and give us gifts or subscribe to the channel, super chats, things like that. You know, that's how we make money. And so a viral video will go viral and you'll get paid whether or not that is true or not. And we saw that with Brian Laundrie on a boat. We saw that with the Idaho 4 with a video that allegedly had screams. And so I am always very skeptical about things like this. So that being said, I have no evidence either way, whether this is true or not. You can make the judgment as you want. And I'm not going to necessarily name names here because that's just not what I'm going to do. But basically what's going on is we've seen some creators posting about strange encounters, and to me, they look staged. And maybe they are, maybe they're not. Okay. Multiple creators with, followings of 100,000, 500,000, some more, some less from my understanding, claim that they're being approached by private investigators and that these PIs are supposedly asking if creators are getting paid for making content, anti-Diddy content, and then supposedly offering to pay these creators more to make pro-Diddy content. Now, let me tell you why this seems off to me. First, I've encountered and dealt with a lot of PIs, and I've not seen any that act like this. Usually they give business cards or they disclose their company, they're professional. But these people that we've seen, they don't provide verification. It's a major red flag. And the interactions do feel scripted. The timing is suspicious too, especially with reports surfacing about Diddy launching social media campaigns where he's using friends and family to try to have positive influences to hopefully influence a jury down the line with a positive impact of Diddy, basically, is what he's trying to do. And like I said, these videos are going viral, and whether the content is real or not, it doesn't matter. And I will say this. So on TikTok, I have a very large following, as most of y'all know, and I have not been approached. Okay. I've never been approached by a PI like this. I have talked to PIs with other cases, and it was a very different thing. And I will tell you this, though. I'm going to go ahead and say this. If all of a sudden you see me posting pro Diddy content, just remember that means somebody came to visit me and they offered me no less than $100,000. And then I will sell out on Diddy content if that is the case. But that seriously, though, I'm always skeptical about this stuff. But I had people reach out to me in my comments criticizing me for making this video. Now, I never made anybody's names, but I will say this. And if you go into the comments of the TikTok video, you'll see this. One of those individuals who this allegedly happened to, said that, hey, it happened to me. He thought about me when this happened because of my following, blah, blah, blah. I am always one who will be okay with being wrong. If I am wrong, I will eat my hat. I will eat crow, and I will admit that I was wrong. So I messaged him right before I went live, so I don't know what his response is. But I said, look, I'm okay to listen to your story. I will come after. I will sit there with an honest and open head on it, and let's talk about it. If this is happening, come on my platform. Let's talk about it. And so that's what I'm going to offer. I think he will probably accept. And if so, we'll do that maybe tomorrow or something like that. But just to let you guys know, that is where I am at on it. I'm always skeptical about stuff like that because I just am. Now, let's talk about something else that happened kind of today. All right. Which is that last night at midnight, there was a midnight motion filed today before Diddy's court appearance. And this was filed on behalf of him for his court appearance today, which is November 19th, if you're watching this at a later time. And they're requesting that he appear unshackled in court for his upcoming hearing and for all subsequent and future court appearances. Now, Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnafilia, wrote, "We write on behalf of our client, Mr. Sean Combs, to respectfully request the court direct the United States Marshal Service to unshackle Mr. Combs prior to bringing him in the courtroom for tomorrow's hearing and for all future court appearances." He then referred to Combs' previous appearance on Thursday, October 10th, where he appeared in leg shackles and without any justification, quote unquote. He also argued that Diddy appearing in shackles in court raises paramount concern of juror bias being created, right? And given the press attention of the pretrial proceedings in this case, there is a substantial risk that potential jurors will learn about shackling through the media and develop such a bias. That's what he's saying. That's what he's arguing. And that Combs' attorney has also argued that having his client shackled during court proceedings interferes with the accused's ability to communicate with his lawyer and goes against the respectful treatment of defendants. Now, here's what I'm going to say on this. Okay. Diddy is a predator. There is a history of violence with him, but that's typically from a domestic standpoint, and he's in prison. And they let Brian Koberger appear now in a suit and unshackled. And I think that as long as you are not somebody like that, then perhaps that's okay, because here's why. And you can disagree with me. And I know Diddy shouldn't be shown any respect, any whatever, but here's the deal. Humiliation for a few months, whatever the case is, that's nothing. You want a conviction here. The damage is done to his reputation, no matter what type of things he wants to run, what kind of, marketing campaign or whatever he wants to do with influencers. None of that's going to change the fact that he has basically ruined himself. Okay. Somebody on TikTok said he tried to escape the courtroom. That is not accurate. He did not, because you couldn't, and he wouldn't have anywhere to go even if he did. They would have him out so quickly. He's not going to escape a courtroom. You have to go out through bailiffs and through a front door and through everything else. It's not easy to leave a courtroom. That's just not accurate. Just being honest with you. But I think that we want to make sure that everything is done properly so he doesn't get to walk. And that is where I'm at on that. Now, let's talk about Kim Porter. We actually have a couple very, very, very interesting things to talk about regarding Kim Porter, guys. And let's start with this one, because if y'all remember, last week I made a video talking about during his time, his relationship with Jennifer Lopez, he basically was still trying to hit up Kim the entire time. Well, we now have a little bit more information on that, of what he did and how. Look, guys, he's just a guy who doesn't want to hear no. But I will say this: the more I learn about Kim Porter, the more I kind of think she's a saint. But according to her, Diddy never ever stopped contacting her during their breakup, including the time that Diddy was with Jennifer Lopez. Despite the fact that that relationship was highly publicized, she said that he wanted to make sure he maintained connection with her. Now, what y'all may or may not know is after they broke up, Kim kicked him out of their house and changed the locks. Basically, she said, one of us is leaving this house and it's not going to be me or the kids. Saying someone's got to go. And for most people, that would send a clear message, but not Diddy. Because Diddy does, as we're learning, whatever Diddy wants to do. Right? He was apparently calling her 50 to 60 times a day. 50 to 60 times a day. He would also drop by the house unannounced. He refused to stick to a court-established visitation agreement regarding their children. And back in 2001, when Diddy was on trial for his alleged involvement in the nightclub shooting at Club New York, Kim was done, right? She and her children packed up, moved to Georgia to escape the chaos. Now Diddy was acquitted, which I have the most bizarre story. I'm going to just give you guys a heads up on this. I have the most bizarre Diddy story you have heard yet regarding that case, the Club New York case. It is the most bizarre one I've heard yet. And we're going to get to that in a little bit. But for right now, she moved to Georgia. And after he was acquitted, he began flying down every weekend to visit her in an attempt to make amends. But Kim was Kim. And so she forced him to come to her if he wanted to work things out. So he was on that plane every weekend, talking to her mom, talking to her grandmother, telling their kids, Daddy made a mistake. Eventually, Kim decided to get back with him, saying and this is what she said, he's gentle, giving, and sensitive, especially to me. He's a really good guy with a big, big heart, and I get to see that. I'm really thankful I get to see that. Now, that comment has not aged well, as we now know. But I think that Kim had a lot of poise, patience, and grace. Ironically, y'all, it was Kim's calm, reserved nature that he fell in love with, but it also was the major reason why he left her. And this is what he said. And this, I think that this epitomizes Diddy and sums up Diddy really well. He said, I'm used to applause when I walk in the room, and she was just too cool. I would tell her, I guess I'll just go be with someone else who'll take care of me the way I want to be taken care of, who'll be a little more aggressive. Narcissistic much? Now, speaking of Kim Porter, this is a bombshell. This is a very interesting thing, what we're talking about now. And by the way, I have pictures up on YouTube for anybody else to see. And if you are rolling in to TikTok late, please hit that follow button. Same thing with YouTube. Please hit that follow button if you're here. Also, this episode is being recorded for YouTube, so you can always go back later if you came in late. All right. Now, a lot of y'all remember that there was a Kim Porter book at the beginning of all this saga. Do y'all remember that? And that book was pulled, right? That book was pulled and was not sold. Even the author said, well, I think it's real, but nobody could confirm the validity of it. Right? Well, then we learned that there was another book. And I'm not going to put the cart before the horse on this one, but two of Diddy's sons, Christian and Quincy Combs, who are also sons of Kim Porter, fired off a cease and desist letter to a man by the name of Courtney Burgess and his attorney, Ariel Mitchell. And it's over a Kim Porter book called Kim Porter Tell It All. And that book is currently being sold online under the pseudonym of Jamal Millwood. Now, why does that name sound familiar? Why are y'all like, man, I think I've heard Courtney Burgess in this whole thing. Who is he? Well, we're going to get to that. but keep it in mind. The Combs brothers say that they are the rightful heirs. Actually, I'm going to put the cart before the horse. Courtney is the one who allegedly has the real copy of the book, that before Kim died, there was a flash drive and information given to him. And that's the one who met with the grand jury in New York, and federal prosecutors told him to turn over everything he had related to Kim Porter, if y'all remember that, okay? Now, the Combs brothers have said that they are the rightful heirs and owners of Kim's intellectual property rights following her death in November of 2018. And therefore, her purported diary entries belong to them. All right, I need y'all to pay attention on this because this is about to get real convoluted. Now, they pointed out that Courtney himself did a bunch of interviews to promote this book, claiming it was from quote-unquote original unedited copy from her diary memoir. It's alleged that he got the flash drive, like I said, from people who were close to Kim and printed it without any edits in order to produce the book. Now, Quincy and Christian are shooting down this narrative, saying that the whole flash drive tale is patently false, it is not real, and it misleads the public. But in the letter, they add, if it were true, the flash drive would belong to them as Kim's heirs. And if you remember a few weeks ago in New York City, he met with federal prosecutors about all of this, like I just said. And the feds seized his phone. And that phone contained a copy, allegedly, of this flash drive and the data used for the book. But now the brothers are putting Courtney on the clock, saying that he has 5 days to shut down the online sale of this book, stop doing interviews, making these false claims, and turn over any of Kim's possessions he claims to have. They also want an accounting of any money he's already made off the book. And the unspoken threat here is a lawsuit could be the Combs brothers' next move. Let's talk about this because there's a lot here that we need to unpack. There's a lot here. So basically what they're saying is what Courtney's saying is not real. There is no book. But if there was a book, we're the owners of it. And in case there is a book, we need all the stuff that you claim is this book. And we also need the money that you've made from it. But it's not a real book. Here's the thing. If this is all made up, then they don't own the rights to that. They would only allegedly own the rights to what was their mother's. But at the same time, if their mother gave them this information and that was a flash drive, then he does have those rights because there's nothing expressly there. But that's the point that's interesting. They're threatening to sue him, giving him 5 days to take this off, to stop everything that's going on, right? Saying that this book is fake. It's not real, but we want it. We want it back. Make it make sense, y'all. Make it make sense. And if you're watching this on the replay, by the way, drop your thoughts in the comments on that. But make that make sense. It's weird. Now, like I said, we got a bunch of stuff to chat about here. And I want to talk about the freak off rooms, the parties. We'll talk about that. Because some disturbing revelations came to light about his infamous parties, right? A former party planner has come forward with details that paint a pretty shocking picture of what allegedly was happening behind closed doors at these parties, which, by the way, cost $500,000 each. $500,000 for these parties, right? Now, according to this party planner, she worked with him in the early to mid 2000s. These parties had some very specific and honestly disturbing setups. Regarding the decor, for instance, of the mansions, he would have somebody come in and he would have the walls and ceilings covered with hundreds of mirrors. And this was apparently so Diddy could take in every scene from every angle. Everywhere you looked, you'd see yourself reflected again and again. And I mean completely everywhere you looked, you'd see reflections. The party planner said that this was specifically designed so people could see everything happening from every angle. And not that you want to imagine it, but you could imagine what it would be like when people are no longer clothed and having relations on the floor, on the couches, or wherever. Right? I don't want to picture it, but you can if you want. And he wanted it so that everywhere you looked was wall-to-wall debauchery. That's what he wanted. Now, the mainstream part of these parties, that's what this planner was responsible for. Not the after party, not the freak-offs. She handled the high-end food, expensive alcohol, professional dancers, acrobats, models, even sometimes live animals. But here's where it gets interesting, because the planner made it very clear that they weren't involved in the guest list or what they called the sexual aspects of these events. But let's break down the money for a second here, okay? That $500,000 per party covered both the main event and the after party, which we now know were freak-offs. And according to the party planner, Diddy never would question the cost. He only had one concern, and that concern was, is it going to be a great party? If the answer was yes, he'd stroke the check, write the check, hand it over, pay for it. Now, days after the party was over, somebody would come in and all the mirrors would be removed, and the mansion would return to its usual state. Now, she also said that he was hiring both men and women who called themselves models, but seemed obvious, at least to her, that these were actually S workers. Now, we had some new revelations come out about Shyne, and I promise you, we're about to get into some really interesting stuff here. Okay? We're about to get into some really interesting... After the Shyne story, y'all, I have the most, in my opinion, the most bizarre story we've had yet on this. Okay. But for a lot of people who don't know, there is a new documentary out regarding Shyne. Now, Shyne, for those of y'all who might not know who that is, was an artist signed under Bad Boy Records. He is the one who took the heat for the Club New York shooting in 1999, did 10 years, and then after the 10 years were up, was deported back to his home country, right? And he's got a new Hulu documentary called The Honorable Shyne, because he really turns life. He's actually a very prominent politician, and I think he's in Brazil or Belize. He's in Belize. Doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, but you know. But this has sparked a new, fresh controversy about his history with Diddy. And in a recent interview, he revealed that there was basically a series of explosive details about their relationship. And this tension traces all the way back to Rikers Island, right? Where Shyne was initially held. Diddy made an unannounced visit to see him in the lawyer's office. The encounter didn't go well, though, because Shyne tried to spit in his face, into Diddy's face, which, you know, is a reaction born from deep-seated anger over the situation that he got himself put into because of Diddy. Then the next significant interaction came in Paris in 2012, 3 years after his release from his decade-long prison sentence. Now, Diddy, who was a billionaire at the time, offered Shyne $50,000 as compensation for the 10 years he served. So $5,000 a year. And this amount struck Shyne as being insulting because his perspective was very clear. If he had cooperated with the district attorney, Diddy would have faced prison time himself, potentially destroying his entire career trajectory. The Paris meeting initially seemed promising. Shyne even told XXL Magazine it could be as significant as a hypothetical peace between Tupac and Biggie. Now, I don't know if it'd be that big, but, you know, that's what he said. But time has changed that narrative. And what Shyne once framed as reconciliation, he now describes as an inadequate attempt at buying his silence. Diddy's team has responded forcefully to these allegations, as they always do. And through TMZ, they've categorically denied claims about orchestrating Shyne's downfall or manipulating witness testimony. But the story has additional layers, because on the Stephen A. Smith show, Shyne dismissed rumors about receiving millions to take the fall. Instead, he pointed to two offensive contributions from Diddy over 20 years that severed their relationships. The trajectory of both men makes the story particularly compelling because Shyne transformed him basically from being Bad Boy's rising star to a respected Belizean politician. And Diddy built an empire that's now threatened. I mean, I would say it's far beyond threatened by mounting controversies, and their intertwined history reflects the music industry's darker realities. But Diddy wasn't loyal to him for what he did, and these revelations are going to continue to surface, which shows that this story is not finished. Now, I told you guys I had a story for you. All right. And here it is. Back in 2001, the day Diddy was going to get the verdict on the Club New York shooting. The guys, I'm telling you, the story is so freaking bizarre. Diddy apparently had a ritual. All right. And by the way, again, if you're late coming into this, this is filmed on YouTube. All right. But basically what happened was he and his bodyguard and his driver got into a car. This was in New York. And they drove to Central Park. And when they arrived at Central Park, Diddy got out, and there was a man who was very obviously waiting on his arrival. Diddy walks over to this guy and drops down to his knees. And this is all witnessed by the driver and his bodyguard, Gene Deal. And Gene describes the next thing he sees is smoke around Diddy, what he believes is burning sage, right? Burning sage around Diddy. And Diddy's on his knees. The guy then takes a Bible and places it on Diddy and starts to pray. All right. From there, the man instructs Diddy to reach into the cage that was brought with him and pull out a bird that was in there. Diddy then takes the bird, throws it up in the air, and the bird falls like a brick. Now, it is to me unclear whether that bird was alive when Diddy grabbed it and Diddy took its life, or if the bird was already dead. I'm not really sure which, to be very honest with you. But after that, he got up and he left. He got up and he left. And he was found not guilty. He was facing 10 years and he was acquitted. This is the most bizarre. Somebody said Santeria. Yeah, I mean, I think it's something like that. It's a bizarre story, y'all. It's a bizarre story. I meant to change the picture. I forgot to change the picture. It's not a very good picture. It's just Central Park. That's where we're going to leave today's deep dive, though. And like I said, if you came in late or you're catching this on TikTok, you know the drill. Head over to YouTube. By the way, hit that follow button if you're here too, because we do these for the most part every day during the week. Head over to YouTube, which is JustInTheNickOfCrime. This is the full unedited breakdown of everything we've covered today. And trust me, there are so many layers to these revelations that we couldn't even really touch on here. But I do have to take a moment to acknowledge this community right now, TikTok and YouTube, the way you all are so respectful, the way that you guys help dissect these things in the comments, connecting the dots that we haven't even gotten to yet, while keeping, again, the discussion always respectful, always focused. You prove that we can tackle these heavy topics with both intensity and integrity, and I appreciate y'all for that. And I want to be real with y'all. Looking at some of these documents that are coming out, these stories that are unfolding, we're going to be seeing some major developments drop. The Busby situation alone is going to trigger a cascade of revelations, because Busby might get to a point that says, fine, you want to play this game? Here are the names. That could happen because he's not backing down. He's wanting to give them a chance to settle, but he's not backing down. So again, hit that follow, hit that subscribe to make sure those notifications are on as well, because when these updates break, you're going to want the immediate story on it. And as always, a massive shout out to my mods, the mod squad. You keep our chat a safe space, focused during some intense moments. And everyone who shared their insights, drop knowledge in the comments, and help piece together these complex developments. You're the reason this community hits different, everyone. Before you go, drop your thoughts on today's bombshells, especially those about the mirror rooms and midnight court filings and Tony Busby getting sued, and especially the bird. Somebody in the comments said, not bizarre here. If you know, you know. I don't know then. I don't know then. I'm not in the know here. But nevertheless, guys, stay sharp, stay skeptical. And remember, in a world of smoke and mirrors, the truth always finds its way to life. Peace out, everyone. I will catch you guys on the next deep dive, which will probably be tomorrow, depending on what comes out. And trust me, there is always more to this story.